If you're a new designer or someone just new to the creative industry, it can be super overwhelming with everything that you have to take on board. You have to be good with clients, doing project work, you have to keep up with your creativity, you have to learn new skills, take on feedback. It can be so overwhelming. And to be successful, it's not about just sitting behind your desk tapping away at a laptop. There is so much more to it. Now, I've been freelancing for over 5 years and I've definitely made a lot of mistakes. I look back sometimes and think, oh my God, what was I thinking? But with all those mistakes and challenges, I've definitely learned a lot. I've always been keeping notes and just checking back and thinking, right, and then when I did that and that was terrible, don't do that again, do it this way instead. And this is what this whole video is about. It's about 5 life lessons that I've learned that will help me and you become better creatives. So, intro done, let's get into it. Okay, first up is sharing your designs early. Now I hear you, you're saying, hell no, am I sharing my designs straight away? Well, let me just explain why it's important and why it can totally excel you as a creative. Now I know, there's nothing worse than when you're sat in a design studio or in your office and you're typing away on your laptop, designing, and you have someone looking over your shoulder and saying, oh, have you thought about doing it this way or changing that? I know that's awful, but please stick with me. So first of all, let's just look at why people don't share their design work early or why they just are scared to do that. It can be from many things, from just fear of showing something that doesn't actually look good yet or you're not happy with. You can feel that it might slow down the progress of the project if you've got all these people interrupting and giving their feedback when you're not kind of ready for that. You obviously want people to think highly of your skills, and if you're showing work early, you might think, oh, it doesn't look that great. I don't want people to think that is me as a designer. It can also be things like you want to take full credit for your work and the way you solved a creative problem. But if you've got these people coming in early, they might give you an idea that they could maybe take credit for instead of you. And as designers, we obviously put a lot of our self-worth into our ideas and our concepts. And I think that's what we're scared of. If people come in the early stages, they're kind of judging all your concepts straight away. And it can be kind of hard to take those opinions on straight away. And obviously, as designers and creators, we are just naturally kind of closed off. We like to kind of be left alone. We're like that by nature, I think. If we're just creative, there's a lot going on in our heads and we don't want these outside distractions. And that's all well and good, but it really does limit our perspective of how a creative project can go. So I want to challenge you, start sharing your work early, and I want to explain why you should and why it has benefited me a lot in my creative career. Anytime I've shared my work early, I've had these moments where I just think like, oh, why did I not think of that idea? And I get so excited. I will bring someone in, maybe another designer or an art director, and they'll say, oh, have you thought about going this direction and trying that? And my mind gets blown. I'm thinking, oh my God, that is such a cool idea. I'm gonna try that. And you know what? If they come in and say that's a terrible idea, then that's fine too. You're not always gonna get these incredible feedback and people showing things that you didn't think about. But there is those golden times when you do, and that is when the magic happens. Now, obviously, I think alarm bells are going off for a lot of creatives now that are watching this and thinking, no, no way am I showing my work early. And I just want to say, you need to set boundaries when you are showing your work early. You don't want to just bring on a whole company of people to be looking over your desk being like, try this, try that. I don't like that. You should do it like that. That's going to be a mess. So if you are going to show your work early, and obviously I highly recommend you doing it, you need to set the right environment. So yeah, share your work early, set boundaries, and just see how your creative work can go in a whole different direction. Take risks with your career. Now, I know that makes your heart start beating and you think, no, I'm comfortable in my design environment. I don't want to change. I don't design well in stressful situations. Well, we're going to try and fix that a little bit. And we all know as designers, a lot of emotion goes into our work. And if our headspace isn't in the right place, then the magic isn't going to happen. However, if we don't take risks in our career, we're never going to grow as a designer. When I look back at all the times that I've really learned or grown myself and my skills, it's because I've been in a situation that I'm slightly uncomfortable in. And it doesn't have to be horrible. Like, you don't need to be like sweating like crazy and going to the bathroom and having a panic attack. But you want to just be a little bit on edge, because I think that is just the magic point where you're kind of getting in that deep end where you need to kind of paddle to survive. And that is kind of in the situation where you grow, because you might not know something about a technical design skill or this program you've never used before and you're feeling a bit nervous. But that is when you grow, because you learn how to do that skill. You reach out to someone that can help you. And that is when you just slightly level up as a designer. And if you're comfortable and just in a situation where you're just churning out the same designs, doing the same thing, you're not growing, you're not changing as a designer at all. Now, I wouldn't say just throw yourself in the deep end and just put yourself in a situation that's just not nice. But I would say just start to challenge yourself. When you start doing these creative projects, just think like, Am I just doing it the same way as I always do it? Should I try something a little bit different that I'm uncomfortable in or don't really know how to do that, but there's chances that I could learn this and level up in a certain skill? And obviously it also depends on timings. Like if you have a really strict deadline, you're not gonna be like, let's put myself in a risky situation where I don't know what I'm doing. Obviously apply it in the right situations because you don't wanna be pulling your hair out. And it's a win-win situation because if you take these risks and you succeed, great, your client is happy, your creative director's happy or whatever, and it all goes well. But if you fail, that's also great because you learn so much from failing. I think all the times I look back at my career where I've failed and done something wrong or it's not gone the way I wanted to, I've learned so much and then I apply it to the next project and think, remember when I did that thing and it was terrible and it didn't work? Let's not do that this time. Let's do it like this. So failing or succeeding, they're both good outcomes. Next up, quit your job. No, I'm not telling you to quit your job right now. That would be silly and you'd probably be thumbing down this video right now. But I'm stressing the importance of an environment that is good for your creativity. You're only as good as the environment and team that you're surrounded with. You want to be in a place where you can grow as a designer, learn new skills, not be afraid of making mistakes and checking in with people and showing your work without any fear. You want people around you that fill you with passion, that make you excited to actually do your job. If you're surrounded by people that are just really negative, they're sucking out all of your energy, they're making you nervous about showing your work because they're just really critical and not helpful, then you as a designer is just going to flatline. Nothing is going to get better. You're not going to grow at all. And I've been in some terrible situations as a designer, like really horrible, horrible situations. And these toxic environments have completely ruined me as a designer. For example, when I was 22, which is like nearly 10 years ago now, which makes me feel very weird, I was in a design studio, fresh out of university, and the main guy, the head creative director, whatever he wanted to call himself, he made me feel about this small, and it ruined me as a designer. I was looking back at my degree and thinking, did I actually learn anything? Because this guy is making me feel like an absolute idiot. And I was so nervous. I didn't want to take any risks. I didn't want to try any new design styles because this guy just made me feel terrible. To be a designer in that situation is just a no-go. And I knew that. I had the confidence. Even though I was young and very new in my career, I knew this was not the situation for me. So what did I do? I quit. I literally grabbed all my stuff from my desk and walked out that door. And I'm not gonna lie, it felt amazing to do that. Even though I had bills to pay, I was a little bit nervous about where I was gonna get my next paycheck from. But within a few weeks, I got a job at a headwear brand, New Era, you might know about it. And that was probably the greatest job I've had probably my whole design career. I had a great manager that let me try things, make mistakes. We could bounce ideas off each other. It was just such a nice environment. I grew so much as a designer in the 2 years that I was there and I really cherish it. So I'd say, just do not sleep on the importance of having a great creative environment around you. If you're in a role or job that just isn't right for you, isn't healthy, find one that is because it will give your designer self so much room for growth. We're going to talk about a thing we probably don't like, and that's design criticism. Now, in an ideal world, we wouldn't need any design criticism. Everything we do would be perfect. We don't need to hear from all these outside sources that we haven't nailed the brief properly or we need to do it in a different way and we're just incredible godlike designers. Well, that's not reality, obviously. Now we're going years back now. When I was in school, we had this thing called Parents' Evening in the UK. I presume it's the same everywhere. It's basically when you go in with your parents and your teacher talks about your performance. And every Parents' Evening, I would hear the same thing. Callum answers back. Callum doesn't take on feedback. Callum doesn't take on criticism. And I would hear this throughout my whole school life. But all this answering back did not get me anywhere. And this is what I've learned that will help me apply it to my design career now. Once you learn that feedback and design criticism is not there to catch you out, make you look stupid. I mean, there's obviously people out there that will try and do that because there's just terrible people online or arrogant designers. But in general, design feedback is just really to help you grow and learn new things. And in general, people aren't trying to bring you down or trying to belittle you. And if it feels like that, you're just taking it too personally. You need to try and separate your own emotions to the work you're doing. Grow a little bit of a thick skin. And this is something you're just going to get better with over time. I'm not going to say everyone's going to be really good at taking on feedback and criticism really well from the get-go. It definitely takes time and years to really learn how to understand where these people are coming from with their criticism. And remember, you don't actually have to just roll over and take all this feedback and criticism. You can turn around and counter that feedback. If you've got the right design decisions to back that up, then great. counter it. If you show confidence in your design decisions, then maybe that feedback that is coming from someone, they might change their opinion too when they start to understand where you've come from. But the main takeaway from this point is, just be open to feedback and criticism. This feedback that you get can really elevate your designs. If someone says something like, oh, I think you've actually missed this key point in this brief, and it will do a little light bulb moment in your head and think, oh my God, yeah, I have. I haven't tried this. Actually, I'll do this. And it can create this kind of snowball effect where the actual design gets so much better. Our final point today is, you don't need to know everything about design. I know, shock horror. Now, big red flag that we can all relate to is, you see those job listings. I mainly see them on LinkedIn now, but on also job advertisement websites. Under like junior designer role, it will say you need to know web design, HTML, video editing, animation, illustration, photography. It is a big red flag. Don't fall into this trap where you think you need to do all these things. It is a load of crap, and any of these companies that are trying to get a designer to do all these things, they just don't have the budget and they just want to hire one person to do 10 people's jobs. Listen to me, you do not need to know everything. You can be incredible at one thing, whether that's graphic design, photography, illustration. That can be your skill, and that's fine. You can obviously learn new skills that are outside your main skill set. For example, I'm a graphic designer by trade, but I'm also doing a little bit of illustration, a little bit of video editing, some photography, but I'm not saying I'm an expert in any of those things. I'm an expert in graphic design, I'd say, but all the other things, I just dabble in. I'd say this applies to more young creatives. Just don't feel like you need to spread yourself too thin. I know you can fall victim to seeing people online that do all these things. Like there's some content creators where they're incredible at illustration, video editing, photography, graphic design, and you think, oh, I need to be good at all these things too. You don't. You can just specialize in one great skill. You're still going to be employable. Now let's not forget that collaboration is king here. As creators, we can collaborate with all these other people that do amazing things. So me, I said I'm a graphic designer. I'm not the best at illustration, but I know a lot of people that are. So if I'm working on a project, I can reach out to that person and say, hey, I've got this great project. Come and help me. Obviously, not all the time we have budget to hire an illustrator, but there's definitely things we can do to just bring all these people on that can just elevate things. We don't have to do it all ourselves. And now what's really great is that I didn't have like 10 years ago when I started out. You have all these websites with incredible design assets. I've said before that I use Elements and Vato, and if I don't know how to do something, I can't make it myself by scratch, I can just download that element and it doesn't cost me much at all. I think there's like a monthly fee that is just really affordable for most people, and that's it. If I don't know how to do something or I'm not skilled in that, there's going to be an asset I can download that does it for me. So start utilizing these things. Don't try and do everything yourself. You have so many assets and people out there that can help you. And that's it. That's my 5 lessons for creatives that I don't think many people are talking about. They're going to help you find inner peace, taking design criticism, you're going to get out of toxic work environments, and you're going to grow so much as a designer. If you enjoyed this video, let me know, give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't, and even click that notification bell. It will really help out this channel and help spread this video to more creatives. And if you have any other life lessons for yourself that you think are really good and I missed them out on this video, write them down in the comments. I would love to know, and maybe I can do a part 2 as well. Now, if you're someone that wants to go freelance, I made a video here where I break down all the steps I took to become a successful designer working for myself. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.